They say Mars is our second chance, a new beginning waiting in the cold silence of space. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Surviving on Mars isn't a question of technology, it's a question of time. Because every second on that red desert, the human body starts to fail. Your blood boils without pressure, your bones decay twice as fast, your mind begins to forget Earth. We're building habitats, launching billion-dollar missions, dreaming of colonization. But the deeper we go, the more we realize Mars doesn't want us there. It's not just hostile, it's perfectly designed to break us. And the real question isn't how we'll live on Mars. It's why we're so desperate to escape Earth in the first place. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. For centuries, Mars was just a distant point of light, a red wanderer in the night sky that sparked myth, fear, and fascination. But now, in the early 21st century, it has become something else entirely, a destination, a promise, a warning. With Earth under pressure, climate instability, overpopulation, political chaos, the idea of starting over on another planet is no longer science fiction. It's part of real geopolitical agendas, corporate ambitions, and long-term survival plans. NASA, SpaceX, China's CNSA, ESA, all racing toward the same goal, a sustained human presence on Mars within our lifetime. We've landed rovers. We've mapped the terrain, analyzed the atmosphere, discovered signs of ancient rivers. But there's one problem: none of it wants us there. Mars is not just cold. It is deadly. Average temperatures drop below minus 60 degrees Celsius. The air is 96% carbon dioxide. There's no breathable oxygen, no liquid water on the surface, and constant radiation rains from space like invisible knives. The soil is toxic. The storms can last for months. And yet, we're still pushing forward. Why? Because back on Earth, the cracks are getting wider. Sea levels rise, forests burn, viruses mutate. We are beginning to understand that Earth may not remain habitable forever, at least not for all. So we turn to Mars not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. The strange part? The more we prepare, the clearer it becomes surviving on Mars might not be a solution. It might be our final mistake. Because in trying to escape the collapse of one world, we may be walking straight into the death of another. It started, as most obsessions do, with a dream and a lie. In the late 19th century, astronomers claimed to see canals on the surface of Mars, evidence, they thought, of intelligent life. The idea caught fire. Science fiction exploded. Writers imagined Martian civilizations, ancient technologies, great wars across the stars. But when our telescopes improved, the truth emerged: there were no canals, no cities, no life. Just dust, rock, and silence. Still, the fascination didn't fade. It evolved. By the mid-20th century, space became a battleground, not for survival, but for dominance. The Cold War sent men to the moon, satellites around the Earth, and eyes toward Mars. We sent probes, then landers, then rovers. Decade by decade, we pulled back the curtain on the red planet, and what we saw wasn't hope, but hostility. Radiation levels that could shred DNA. Soil laced with perchlorates, capable of poisoning human organs. An atmosphere so thin, your blood would boil within seconds. And yet, despite this, something shifted. The more inhospitable Mars appeared, the more determined we became. In 2015, NASA announced plans for a manned mission in the 2030s. Elon Musk declared he would build a city of 1 million people there. Billionaires raced to turn survival into business. Colonization became not a question of if, but when. And here's where the danger begins. Because what started as a vision of exploration has quietly become a desperation for escape. The kind that blinds us to consequences. The kind that rewrites risk as opportunity. And now, as we edge closer to launch, we must ask ourselves, are we about to become the first species to abandon its planet, or the last to realize we never should have left? On paper, it looks possible. We build habitats sealed from the vacuum, powered by solar panels or compact nuclear reactors. We recycle water, grow food in pressurized greenhouses, wear suits that simulate Earth-like pressure. Simple, right? But here's what the numbers say. It would cost over $300 billion to establish even a minimal colony of a few dozen people. A single cargo launch can cost upwards of $150 million. Each astronaut would require over 30 kilograms of supplies per day: oxygen, water, food, energy, and yet, No resupply mission could arrive for months. And if something breaks? There are no spare parts, no rescue, no backup. Even communication with Earth has a 22-minute delay. You don't call for help. You wait, and you hope. Now, imagine a simple tear in a suit, one tiny rupture, and your lungs collapse within seconds. Or a solar flare erupts, flooding the surface with lethal radiation. Without thick shielding, nearly 2 to 3 meters of water or regolith, you're exposed. Every second outside is a gamble. And inside, it's not much better. Mars' gravity is only 38% of Earth's. Over time, your bones weaken, your heart changes shape, your immune system falters. Mental health deteriorates in isolation, especially when the red horizon never changes. NASA studies show that even short-duration missions on the ISS cause serious psychological strain. Now scale that up to years with no way back. This isn't science fiction. These are data points, real projections, real threats. And yet we push forward not because it's safe, but because we've already invested too much to turn around. That's the cost of survival now. Not just money, but something far more fragile, our sense of control. Here's what no one talks about. Even if we build the perfect Mars base, even if we solve food, water, oxygen, and radiation, we might still fail. Why? Because our biology is not designed to survive off Earth. And the most shocking part? The damage might be permanent. Recent studies reveal that extended exposure to low-gravity environments, like Mars' one-third gravity, may cause irreversible changes to human DNA. Gene expression shifts, immune response weakens, brain structure alters. In simulated Mars missions on Earth, participants have reported hallucinations, extreme anxiety, and sudden memory loss, and those were under controlled conditions. Now imagine facing that under real pressure, with real danger, and no escape. But the twist goes deeper. Some scientists believe that Mars isn't just difficult, it may be biologically incompatible with human life. Its soil contains perchlorates, toxic salts that can disrupt thyroid function. The thin atmosphere offers no protection from cosmic rays, which don't just cause cancer, they alter neurons. That means thoughts, emotions, behavior. What if the longer we stay on Mars, the less human we become? Not metaphorically, but neurologically. It's a question that splits the scientific community. Some argue it's manageable. Others warn we're walking blind into a neurological black hole. One NASA neuroscientist put it simply, we're preparing for physical survival, but we're not ready for what it might do to our minds. That's the real danger. Not the red storms or the radiation, but the silence inside, when even your thoughts start to sound like they're not yours anymore. Right now, some of the most brilliant minds on Earth are racing to solve the Mars problem, and what they're building feels like science fiction becoming reality. NASA's Artemis program is laying the groundwork for deep space travel, using the moon as a launch pad to reach Mars. SpaceX is testing Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, designed to carry 100 people and cargo across 55 million kilometers of space. In labs across the world, scientists are engineering closed-loop life support systems, where every drop of water, every breath of air, is recycled endlessly. Others are experimenting with growing food in simulated Martian soil, enriched with special bacteria to neutralize toxins. There are 3D printed habitats, designed to be built from Martian regolith itself, using robots before humans even arrive. AI systems are being trained to monitor health, detect mechanical failures, and even provide psychological support in isolation. Radiation shielding technologies using hydrogen-rich plastics, magnetic fields, and water walls are being refined. And yet, every breakthrough leads to more questions. How do you maintain a greenhouse through a months-long dust storm with no sunlight? Can we truly simulate gravity without spinning space stations or artificial mass? What happens to children born on Mars, with altered bone density, brain development, and immune function from day one? The research is moving fast, but reality moves faster. The more we prepare, the clearer it becomes. We are not adapting Mars to humans. We're trying to re-engineer humans to survive on Mars. And that may be the greatest gamble in the history of our species. For every plan to colonize Mars, there's a warning whispering beneath it. And as we edge closer to turning red dust into a second Earth, the divisions grow deeper. Some scientists believe this is humanity's greatest leap, a chance to protect our species from extinction, to become multiplanetary, to write a new chapter. They speak of progress, survival, evolution. but others are not so sure. A growing number of voices, ethicists, biologists, even ex-NASA engineers, are sounding the alarm. They argue that in our obsession with reaching Mars, we've overlooked one simple truth: not everything should be colonized. One theory suggests that Mars should remain untouched, a control planet, a sacred sample of unaltered planetary evolution. If life ever existed there, even microbial, our arrival could erase it forever. Another warns that the psychological cost of living in isolation, in silence, in artificial structures may fracture human identity itself. Mars, they say, could become a laboratory of irreversible experiments on the human soul. Some believe we're not even preparing for colonization, but for control. That whoever gets to Mars first will hold the ultimate strategic high ground, weaponizing space under the guise of exploration. And then there's the darkest hypothesis, that Mars isn't our hope, but our exile. That deep down, we know Earth is dying, and the ones who escape first aren't pioneers, they're the privileged, the survivors. So the question isn't just can we go? It's who gets left behind when we do. Every breakthrough has its shadow, and somewhere in that shadow, something has already started to go wrong. At first, it was just data, small anomalies, subtle shifts. Crew members on long-duration Mars simulations began reporting emotional flatness, loss of empathy, a strange detachment from Earth. Then came the neurological scans. Changes in brain connectivity, reduced function in regions tied to memory and moral reasoning. Still, the missions pressed forward. Starship landed. The first humans walked on Mars, and something changed. Not in the planet, in them. The environment forced constant adaptation, hormone regulation, altered diets, stress conditioning. And slowly, without permission, a new type of human began to emerge. Stronger in some ways, but colder. Less attached to Earth, to people, to history. The media called it adaptive evolution. But off-record, scientists had a different name: cognitive divergence. These weren't just astronauts anymore. They were becoming something else. The first generation born on Mars didn't speak Earth languages the same way. They developed a new dialect, efficient, emotionless. Social structures shifted. Earth traditions were abandoned. Empathy weakened. On Earth, panic grew. Debates erupted. Had we accidentally created a new species? Could they even coexist with us? And if not, what then? Governments proposed recall missions. Colonists refused. They didn't want to return. Some couldn't. Their bones were too brittle for Earth's gravity. Their minds, wired differently. The Great Escape had become a separation. Not just by distance, but by evolution. The worst part? It didn't feel like science fiction anymore. It felt like prophecy. We reached for the stars, desperate to survive. But in doing so, we may have created our successors. And they may not need or want us anymore. So now we stand on a threshold, not just between planets, but between versions of ourselves. The Earth-born human, emotional, flawed, deeply connected to nature, and the Mars-adapted being, forged in silence, sculpted by necessity, no longer bound by the same instincts. It's no longer a question of technology. We've proven we can build the systems, solve the engineering, survive the storms. The real question is deeper. Should we continue down this path? If we do, we must accept that we're not just colonizing Mars, we're authoring a new species. And with every step forward, something ancient in us begins to fade. Memory, culture, emotion. We are not evolving in harmony with our environment. We are breaking ourselves to fit it. But is the alternative any better? Earth is changing too. Climate collapse, ecological instability, resource wars, we can't deny the signs. Some believe Mars is the lifeboat. Others say it's the iceberg. So what do we choose? To stay and rebuild a planet we've pushed to the edge, or to flee into the unknown and gamble everything on becoming something else? There is no easy answer. Only a cost. Because progress is never free, it demands a sacrifice. The only question left is, what part of ourselves are we willing to give up, to survive? And when the history of this moment is written, if it's written, will it say that we escaped extinction, or that we ran from accountability? The future isn't waiting on Mars. It's waiting on us, and the kind of humanity we choose to become. They say Mars is our second chance, but maybe it was never meant to be. Maybe it was just a mirror, cold, red, lifeless, reflecting everything we refuse to fix down here. And now you know more than most. You've seen what it really takes to survive on another planet. Not just machines and oxygen tanks, but the loss of something we don't fully understand until it's gone ourselves. I don't know about you, but that terrifies me. Not the science, not the danger, but the idea that we could make it all the way to another world, only to realize we no longer remember why we left this one behind. Maybe that's the real warning hidden in the dust storms and dead soil, not that Mars will kill us, but that it will change us into something that doesn't care if we live or die. So let me ask you something. If the first ships to Mars opened up for passengers tomorrow, would you go? Would you leave Earth behind, knowing you might never come back? Or would you stay and fight for the only home your body, your mind, your soul were ever meant for? This isn't just a story. It's not a distant future. The rockets are being built. The countdown has already begun. And maybe, one day soon, you'll look up at the night sky, see that red dot glowing faintly, and wonder, is someone already up there? Watching, waiting, wondering what it was like to still be human.